right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Crypto 101 podcast. I'm your co-host, Bryce, as always, joined by my good buddy, Brendan. How's it going, Brendan?
It's going good, Bryce. It's going good. And man, am I excited for this episode. We get to talk to a very familiar face of the investing space, someone who we love having on here, and I'm ready for it.
I'm ready for Mr. Johan Kerbalot, who's the GM of crypto at Robinhood. Johan, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us again. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. Really excited to be here again. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And you're like a finance guy, but you're a tech guy as well. Because, even before you got into crypto, correct me if I'm wrong, but you were the head of engineering at Uber. And you worked at Airbnb doing a lot of engineering on the back end, kind of like getting all those businesses stood up. And now these are like, massive multi-billion-dollar public companies. And you were part of that early on, huh?
Yeah, that's right. I started my career as an engineer, so I've always been an engineer. I think I'm still am sometimes. And I joined Robinhood Crypto as initially the CTO for the group. And then I moved into the general manager position a couple of years ago.
Nice. Are you liking being more of a manager as opposed to being a coder every day?
I think it's different. Like the problems are different, and it's interesting. But at the end of the day, it's still you're still trying to solve the same issue. I've been in the crypto space for a long time, and the main issue that we're trying to solve is bringing accessibility and making it easier to use. And I think, the problem is the same as a coder or not as a coder. We still have a lot of work to do. And I think, as a GM of the business, I have a bit more chances to build a strategy around it instead of just like trying to implement a strategy.
Totally. No, I love it. And just from like a zoomed out perspective, it's obvious this is the Crypto 101 podcast. So we get, newcomers in every week who are just really learning, kind of about the space, who might not be as technical. And I always like to ask the question to guests that come on is just, why are you here? Why are you building in the crypto space as opposed to building in, fintech or doing something else in investments? It's, what about the crypto or the blockchain ecosystem really pulled you in? And I think that tells a lot of the story of who you are and really what crypto is.
Yeah, so back in the days, when I was still young, we were working. I had my own startup back in France, and we were working at the time on building payments rails for merchant. And a lot of the issues that we were seeing with credit cards was around time to get the money in the pocket of the merchant, so they had to kind of front in advance the merchandise, and then all the fraud and rejection that they were seeing. And so at the time, that's kind of when the Bitcoin white paper went out. On paper, it looked amazing. We're like, this is a solution for all the problem. And I really felt at the time that payments will be like the solution for Bitcoin to become mainstream. And at the end of the day, I think it's not exactly true. Like I think, trading and investment in crypto has been a bit more like the first use case. But back in the days, that was kind of the reason why I really got into it. And at the same time, like I said, I was in France and Europe, and so the banking crisis back in 2008, 2009 really took a long time in Europe to kind of go away. And so at the time, like the question of like the central bank influences and how much power kind of the central banks had was always kind of top of mind. And so, this idea of a decentralized currency that is common for the entire globe and not just based on countries or continent, what was really interesting.
Definitely. Well, Johan, it's been almost a year, just under a year, since we had you on last. And man, it feels like a lot has changed since then. I mean, if we look back to last December when we were chatting, it was a pre-Ethereum ETF world. It was a pre-Bitcoin ETF world. That was just before we had that kind of massive spike up to a new all-time high for Bitcoin. And a lot has changed since then, not only in the crypto markets, but I'm sure on your side as well. So I was hoping you could catch us up to speed on everything that has happened since we last chatted.
Yeah, sounds good. I think, crypto years are like dog years. You always feel like it's 4 times the amount of time that has passed. Yeah. So, I think on the Robinhood side, we stayed pretty busy. A lot of the things that we did was around the EU. So we launched in eligible countries in the EU in December of last year.
Wow.
We now have about 35 plus assets. You can transfer, deposit, and withdraw. And we really have very good offers. So currently, for example, you can deposit and we'll give you up to 1% match for a limited period of time. So, really, we've been trying to push on this part of the world because we think this is a very exciting market. And there is a new regulation called MiCA that is going into place in 2025. And so we really think that the EU is going to become a prime market. And we also developed a lot on our Robinhood wallet. We added the support for many chain, including Arbitrum and Solana. So now you can do, you can swap thousands of tokens. You can do cross-chain swap on Arbitrum. So we really pushed a lot of new features there. And on the US side, we also kind of developed our offerings. So we kept doubling down on the lowest cost trading in average. Like this is something that is very core to us. We want to make sure that the people that are going into the crypto space are actually getting the best deal that they can have. And the second thing that we did is making it more accessible. So we open in everywhere in the US, including Hawaii, including Puerto Rico, and the US Virgin Island. And that was really important for us because we were like, if we're going all the way to the EU, we also need to make sure that the entire US is covered. And the final thing is, we are adding a lot of new advanced trading features in the US, and so we're going to keep doubling down on that as well.
Tell us more about that one for a lot of folks who are watching. We got obviously an international audience, a lot of folks in the US as well who are always looking for new places to trade.
Yeah, for us, the main advantage I will say in the US is we are kind of trying to recreate the same features that you will see on very advanced broker, but making them as simple as possible. And so, for example, we have advanced charts, we have new order types, stop loss, limit stop loss, and all these things that are made really for the people that want to be a bit more in the advanced stage of things and still have the same UI and UX that Robinhood is famous for. So we're really trying to balance the two and give you the choice, because I think at the end of the day, it's really about choice. Like you may be a newcomer into the space, or you may be a more advanced trader, and we want to make sure that we can serve everyone.
Definitely. And, one of the big additions that you mentioned just a second ago was the launch of custody. And what that means is for listeners who are kind of coming in here is that previously, users could buy and sell and kind of interact with crypto via trading. But if you wanted to send it to a wallet, that wasn't an original feature. And correct me if I'm wrong there, but in recent months and recent years, the goal has been to expand custody, where users can now withdraw and deposit a select amount of variable cryptocurrencies, including both Bitcoin and a handful of altcoins, so that they can withdraw and deposit those to and from wallets. And I don't want to kind of jump too far ahead here, because I want to talk about the app stuff that you're doing in just a moment. But that's a really big step for most crypto traders, because what that means is that if they're on Kraken, if they're on Coinbase, if they have a MetaMask wallet, the list goes on, that they can actually exchange those funds or deposit them into Robinhood. And so I just want to talk to you a little bit about that and hear about maybe which assets users can do that with.
Yeah, so in the US, it's been live for about 2 years now. So you can transfer everything that we offer, like the 15 assets. We don't charge any transfer fee. We just pass through, the network fee from that we pay the blockchain when we send a transaction. So really, on this one, the main thing for us has been to we want people to be able to access Web3. We want people to be able to self-custody their assets if they want to. We want to give them the choice, basically. If you trust Robinhood to custody your assets, you can leave them on Robinhood. If you want to self-custody, or if you want to be more active on the Web3 or DeFi space, you can do it.